I think what I will say. Look, the phrasing that I use, taking the foot off the pedal, is not the right phrase. I mean, take opportunities to rotate when needed. Um, I do think that we have a margin, and I really look, we spoke about it yesterday. The Champions League is there for the taking because we are one of the best teams in Europe. If you're one of the best teams in Europe, that should be an objective. And I want us to give us the best opportunity to win that as well. I want to be greedy because, to be fair, I don't know how long is left for this particular team. We don't know what's happening with the contracts and all that kind of stuff. So this may be the last opportunity we have to win the Champions League for a while, for example. Um, Prem is the priority, absolutely. So taking the foot off the pedal is the wrong phrase, but rotate. And look, to be fair, also Slot's team management. I think someone said it in the chat. His team management and squad management this season has been exceptional. The fact that we don't get as many injuries as many other teams, and even compared to the Klopp era, that's not by accident. So I mean, these guys know what they're doing, and I'll trust them to do what they're doing. So even if we do play full strength, I'm confident that they'll do the right thing.
And mate, listen, I completely agree with what you've just said there. Klopp was a fraud. I agree. So it's a joke. It's a joke, ladies and gentlemen. It's called a joke. Here we go. It's called a joke. Speaking of jokes, did you all see what Hamza said earlier? That Alisson conceded the goal because the sun was in his eyes.
Yeah, Ederson, you mean? Yeah. We saw.
Sorry, and the sun.
We know about Hamza's project. Let's just believe it.
Elijah, obviously, you're a rival of Liverpool. You're a Chelsea fan. What are you here to say, mate?
Yeah, listen. I have to say, I know many Warrior fans won't do this, but I'm going to say this. This is where Andre Slot has to take a lot of credit because he knew that in the first half, Liverpool was absolutely poor. Like every player on the pitch in the first half was absolutely poor. But at halftime, he made a triple change. And guess what? Liverpool won the game because of the substitutions. I have seen times when Liverpool, play bad in the first half, but then at halftime, he just gets angered the players, makes the right tactics and all that stuff. And this why for me, that Slot has to win the manager of the season because Liverpool, may not sign players, but the difference is he's an experienced manager and he's also elite. And that's why for me, Liverpool are going to win this league because Slot has overachieved for Liverpool, but he's done great things. Slot is an elite manager. And for me, if he keeps this up here, I think Liverpool next season, I know many people may not agree with this, but next season, I think Liverpool might win the league again because we don't know if Man City is going to be signing, players that can replace them. And also, we don't know if Arsenal is going to be signing players in the summer transfer window.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think they keep which of the three of Salah, Van Dijk and Trent? How many of that three do you think they keep? Because if those three were to all go, would you have that same energy? Just as a general thought.
No, this one, I think for me, they have to keep Salah because even the crazy thing is, Terry, even though Salah may not have a great game, he can score goals, and I'm sorry to say this to my United fan, but Salah has scored more goals in Anfield than Wayne Rooney scored at Old Trafford, which is absolutely crazy. But this is why Salah, for me, is a world-class player.
So Elijah, you're saying Wayne Rooney is a fraud? Are you saying Wayne Rooney is a fraud?
Of course not.
No, he's not.
Wayne Rooney is.
I'm joking. I'm turning Terry's words back on him.
I know, but for me, they have to.
And I didn't react because unlike Hassan, who doesn't have a sense of humor, I got the joke and just sat here. And because I also still think Wayne Rooney holds a record as the player to score the most amount of goals away from home. I think Rooney still has that record, actually. So yeah.
So yes, I think they need to keep Salah because Salah, this season has been absolutely fantastic. Another player they have to keep is Van Dijk because even though he made a mistake for the first goal, he's still, for me, one of the best defenders in the Premier League ever since he come in. The Trent one, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean...
I think Trent... Elijah, listen, I think you make a great point. Liverpool can win the league next year, but I think every sane Liverpool fan it's all about whether those two stay and what the transfer window looks like. Because if they let them go and their window represents slots first, in my personal opinion, if those three go and they don't buy anyone anywhere near that quality, they won't be able to win the league next year because of the influence that Van Dijk and Salah have had this year and putting them on 70 points in 29 games. It's going to have to be a massive summer. And that's what I actually quite love about, again, I know we're only in March, looking ahead of next season. Right now, it's really hard, in my opinion, to turn around and go, it's a guarantee for anyone. I think City will be in the title race next season, but I've got a bit of a feeling they may not be a formidable team, as in barely losing any games. Let's see what Liverpool do in the summer. I think
the thing is,
really
like, the key in this conversation, on this whole conversation, is what Manchester City do. Because if Man City do what they're linked to do in the summer, which is sign Florian Wirtz and sign like 2-3 center backs and blah blah blah, then I'm not going to push Manchester City to the side because I'm not silly. Like, I know they're capable of doing it. So I think this conversation is premature. I understand where Elijah's coming from, but we really have to see what happens in the summer. And I think if Liverpool do have a big summer and we sign like an Isak, a Hato, like do something mad, we can genuinely do it. There's one thing though, there's only one manager in the league who gets to say, I deserve to win manager of the season. And that's Nuno Santo. That's the only other manager that actually can have a conversation with Slot and go like, I deserve it as well. Other than that, I really don't think any manager in the league deserves to even be in that conversation. Nuno Santo took a team from relegation essentially to qualifying for Champions League, which is a massive jump.
Yeah. I think there's a few. For me, I always find that conversation premature until the end of the season. In the sense of, let's say Bournemouth end up coming in 5th, that's a shout because there's a lot less money being spent there. As an example, you've got that child that's currently managing the Brighton team, right? But I hear your point. Like, I've got a soft spot for Nuno because he was the first client I ever had in the bank who. There's a new program we were running and he kind of said I'll give it a go, and he advocated and got the whole Wolf squad signing up. So I love that guy. He helped my career and my life. The house I live in is partly down to that guy, so I love him to bits. I've got a big spot for Nuno. When he was at Spurs and it was going wrong, I was like, Nuno, I love you, but come on. So yeah, for me, I do think it's a slightly premature conversation, but even when it comes to Liverpool, I've got the same energy for you as I do City. And what I mean by that is this. The reason why it's slightly a premature conversation, and I said a few weeks ago that City are the only team that I feel is a guarantee they're in the title race next year. I still think that to a certain degree, but if you lose those 3 players, 2 of the players you're losing are probably inside the top 10 players in your club's history, definitely the top 5 in Premier League history. And the reason why I think that's significant is you could argue there isn't another centre-back in the world that's even as good as Van Dijk right now anyway. So replacing him, therefore, becomes impossible. When you look at Mo Salah and the amount of games he wins you and the amount of goals he scores, let's be honest about it. There's only 2 or 3 other players in the whole world that do that, and they are unattainable for you at this particular moment. So I sort of feel that if we know the players that are going to leave City and they're their greatest ever legends, if those guys leave you, I don't think it's as easy as on paper. You can both go out and buy brilliant names, but until we see those players in your team, and the reason I say this is someone that's lived through it with my club. When I always used to just think, when Scholes goes, we'll just buy another midfielder. When this goalkeeper leaves, we'll just buy another goalkeeper. And actually, it never works out like that when they're the best of the best your club has ever had, especially in a league as competitive as the Premier League. It's not like Liverpool and City have all the financial muscle and bring in £1 billion each a year in revenue, and everyone else is there on 200 or 300 million. Everyone's got cash. You look now around the Prem, and it's so hard to even get players out of rival teams nowadays. Right. So, yeah, I'm intrigued about next season. We brought up because Elijah did. But for Liverpool, if they keep hold of Van Dijk and Salah, then I think it's fair to say you'll be the favourites for next season. If they go, I'll be honest with you, I think it makes the whole thing so open-ended until we start seeing football being played.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they go, I'm going to be honest. I think we're going to be in a top 4 race. If they go, I'm going to be I'm not going to be disingenuous. I get that we can sign other players and stuff, but even by the time they gel and blah blah blah, it'll be too late. So let's just, I'll be honest with you. If they do go, like, okay, I know Rax probably shares the same opinion as me on who stays. I think Mo and Van Dijk stay, and I think Trent's the one that leaves. That's my honest opinion from literally from August.
No,
And if,
So
and
if
if he
leaves,
gave us, yeah,
go
if he
on, go
gave
on.
us that option, you can only have two. We would both pick Salah and Van Dijk because
Yeah.
you can. Trent is exceptional, but you can replace him with a conventional right back. He's not going to give you the incredible moments.
And the assist from him have slowed down. The assists have slowed down from a few years ago because the way of playing football's changed as well. So, no, I agree with that completely. I think it is open-ended. And a few people have said, Terry, but we replaced the whole midfield last year. You did. But the midfield you had that won you that Premier League, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think any of those midfielders go into the category of your greatest ever midfield players. And the reason why I say that is because they're very good players and a very good unit and a very good collective. Maybe Fabinho. But I look at it and just think to myself, it's the game-changing players. And some teams, it's like Lampard, for instance. Chelsea fans currently alive may never see a player that did what Lampard did ever again. And I say that, and I said it to the City fans earlier, and it isn't meant in any disrespectful way. If you look through the history of English football, Liverpool and Man United are the only two teams that had a great side, it faded, and then they rebuilt another great side. And groups of players from both those teams, there'll be some overlap. I'm sure there is with Man United. I'm sure there's with Liverpool. Both those teams are in those great categories. Outside of it, it's happened once for a handful of clubs. The idea that you will, the replacements will be as good, as consistent for as long. If I just go for 150 years of history, it's happened on a couple of occasions. And even then, there was a gap in the middle where it was a little bit sketchy. Like with Man United, between sort of 2003 and 2005, we were a good team, but we weren't like we were in the late 90s or in the late noughties, as an example. So I just think there is an element of I'm not writing Liverpool off. I'm not writing City off. I think it's about football fans being realistic when you look at like Mo Salah. And I'm only going by what Jamie Carragher said here. The man is a trophy or two away from becoming your club's greatest ever player. And you look, it's the output that comes with that. Replacing that's almost impossible. I mean, Gerrard's been gone, a decade? You haven't replaced Gerrard yet. You've not had a midfielder as good as Gerrard or as influential as Gerrard. It's the same difference.
What I'll say is, and Arsenal fans are going to think I'm blowing smoke up their arse to some extent, and maybe other fans will as well. I think of those three teams, Arsenal are the most stable. I said this on the Gals channel a few weeks ago, and he got very giddy about it. But there is a stability that you have with Arsenal that you haven't necessarily got with the situation at Liverpool and Man City right now. City's recruitment in recent years hasn't quite been so good. Yes, they're linked with Wirtz and some other good players, and if they come in and they hit the ground running, sure. If we lose Van Dijk and Salah, that is a monumental blow. If Salah and Van Dijk stay, we'll be there next season. I have absolutely no doubts about it. But Salah and Van Dijk are so good that if we lose them, yes, you can try and recreate that in the aggregate, but I think that's so difficult to happen instantaneously as well.
I agree.